Yeah,
for
I
two
mean, thank God I
hours.
had wicked sex in the back of my, car after it, which made it all like that's why my hair's messed up, which made it all worthwhile. But without that, I mean, shit, I was better off buying fucking game for
Christ.
$70.
So welcome to the first official digital Campfire interacting game contest, just gaming podcast that we do every Sunday here at One Great Take on Twitch. After this podcast, we will be working on getting it uploaded to YouTube in the future, probably by tomorrow, so that if someone doesn't catch, if you don't catch the podcast right away, you can catch it on our YouTube channel the following day. Mark,
Fish.
Julian, Jay, Dan. You might see Jordan here instead of me sometimes. Kind of mix and matching who's talking depending on what kind of topics we're talking about. So today, kind of a quick recap of what we're going to talk about. We have a Ubisoft Forward event, Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, Far Cry, talk about Hyperscape a little bit in depth. Myself, Dan, we've all kind of played Hyperscape. We have a little bit of thoughts about it. Jay as well. Moving to the release of PS5 cases, Ghost of Tsushima, Dr. Disrespect talks. We also write articles at onegreattake.com. So Julian will give his thoughts on the latest article he wrote. So that's kind of just what to expect from today. So let's kind of get it going. So Ubisoft Forward event. So the first game, kind of the biggest game I would say that people are talking about is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So release date is November 17th, 2020. So that is kind of close. That's something to look forward to. So I guess
Wait, when is
Jay,
it coming?
November 17th.
Yeah, this year.
2020.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so this year.
Yeah, so when they announced that, the first thing I said was that means the PS5 has to be coming out before then, right? Because, I mean,
No, it's coming out for both.
Yeah, you're not going to put a release date, though, for just one and then say it's coming out for all those systems right under the date. So I think that might be our first hint of when PS5 is actually going to be here. Makes sense, I think, with what we were all kind of thinking. When new systems come out for the holidays, they really come out in November to get the sales.
I just can't believe we really don't have an official release date on PlayStation 5 yet. I'm about to do a class action against Sony. That's absolutely fucking unbelievable.
Do you think it's COVID related? I know a lot of the supply chain management has been tough for people.
Yeah,
to
it's probably too just too risky, too hot and cold to really just put a hard date on anything right now.
Yeah.
So they'd probably rather leave it up to whatever than be not be able to commit on a promise. But
yeah,
I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, man, they didn't even say holiday.
But they did ramp up their production to
I saw
another couple
that,
million units, which is
I saw that, but they didn't even say holiday 2020 I think at the PS5 reveal. So that was crazy, but the world is in a different spot.
Yeah, I think it's definitely COVID related, and they don't want to give a specific date and then have to,
Do we know when the Xbox is coming out?
Date.
Because it could also be kind of that too.
No, I don't think we.
It could be a mixture of both.
I don't think there's a date for the Xbox either yet, right?
Well, the Xbox definitely is holiday. They at least released that, and I think when's the Xbox event? That didn't happen yet, right? Is it next week? There's going to be another Xbox event. And a lot of people are saying that they're going to wait until Xbox does their event. They're probably going to release their date and price, and then Sony's going to follow it.
I mean, we don't really cover Xbox on here, just by pure happenstance.
Wait, so actually, speaking of Xbox, and we actually retweeted this, is that the latest news we got is that they announced that there are no there's going to be no
first party exclusives
for
the next couple of years,
which is wild to me.
So just cancel the system.
You're basically telling people you don't need this system. You can every game that's going to be on this system you can play on your PC or your PS5. So to me, anyone who's buying it, I mean, some people buy both and whatever, but anyone who's buying that either doesn't have a PC or they just want to have all the systems. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
I feel like that's not good news. Like, there's no way you could spin that as good news.
No.
So why was that
Why
ever
state
said?
it? Right, exactly.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why not? Why come out and say that?
Who's working their PR that was like, yeah, you know what? Let's throw a statement out there.
That's
Yeah.
like Sony coming out and be like, "Yo, I just played the beta of one of our new games. It's absolutely fucking shit.
Yeah,
Like, I can't wait for you guys to see it."
All right, yeah, I'll make one comment about that, and then we'll circle back to like the Ubisoft Forward stuff. But if you read the article, like one, it's probably because they're not ready to have maybe the level of the games like 4K Ultra HD isn't ready yet for them. But they also were talking about focusing on their ecosystem. So, like obviously Resident Evil 8 is not going to be on Xbox One, I'm pretty sure, and it's not going to be on PS4. I think that's straight next gen. So like you're going to have next gen games, just like you guys said, the first party. They're not going to have anything exclusive. They want to let they're talking about the ecosystem, so they want to
I
let
don't think anybody
Xbox
gives
One
a fuck about
players.
their ecosystem.
I know, but
I think they've been talking about the ecosystem for like 15 years when they were trying to put VCRs inside the Xbox or whatever the fuck it was. TiVo. They're like,
VCRs?
no, like literally nobody gives a fuck. All right, whatever.
yeah,
Ubisoft.
is what it is. I
Fuck
guess.
these guys too, but take it away.
So yeah, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Jay, you have any thoughts about the game or current state or the direction of the series? It's changed a lot since Assassin's Creed 1. So
Yeah, I think we talked about Assassin's Creed in general a couple weeks ago when we said
Mhm.
it's going in the more RPG focused direction. I don't know. I just don't feel the combat. Like I was excited to do Odyssey's combat, and it just feels really punishing for no reason. And I think this game's going to be a lot more focused on just fighting and less stealth. So they're definitely moving away from the assassin kind of portion.
Well, nobody has
Um,
ever said that the Vikings were known for their stealth attacks.
No, I know. It's
Usually-
definitely an odd direction. I think people want to see it. I think people want to play a Viking game. I think everyone's excited just for that in general. So I think that's cool. I think the combat looked really cool. I think it's going to be a little bit more weighted. I know Flippers has talked about that in the past. Like there's going to be more staggering and stuff. Odyssey just seemed like it was, I don't know, it lacked something.
Okay, well, let
Um,
me ask you this: what difficulty were you playing Odyssey on?
Dude, you already know.
Okay,
No,
but
not
here's-
not like the hardest. There's like one above that. I was
No,
playing
I
on
know,
hard.
but like, I mean, there's only 7 people in the chat, and like, so let me just put you on blast right now. You can't fucking hang, Jay. You cried God of War. You got a little warm take coming on Ghost of Tsushima. You hated Odyssey. Like, dude, you're just fucking trash.
Yeah, no,
I don't hate
Play-
Odyssey. It's just
no. Let me finish. You could do a couple good genres, but when it comes to these kind of games, like maybe it's just like let me play on normal or not buy the game. I don't know what to tell you.
Dude,
Dude,
I mean,
I played normal God of War. I stepped it down. It wasn't.
yeah, like Jay, I've completely can admit, like I'm playing God of War on hard, and that's gonna be my difficult game. So when I played The Last of Us, I said, dude, I don't want the stress, I want the story. So I fucking switched it to normal, played through it. Where's Jimmy on hard? Oh, 14 hours in. What happened? Kid's exhausted. Kid's napping after work. He can't handle it. He's out of the game now. And now what happens? He switches to Ghost. He survived 4 hours before he rage quit a single player
Hold
game.
on a second. What difficulty did he put Ghost on? Is there even a Ghost difficulty slider?
Yeah, hard, 100%.
Hard. I'm on normal.
Dude, well then you know what? You're absolutely fucking delusional.
All right, man. All right. But all right, back to Valhalla. I think it's gonna. There's a couple of things in Valhalla I'm excited for. Obviously, I think the combat's gonna be cool. You're just running it as a Viking, dual wielding. It looks really fun. But then you have like a Monteregione from like Assassin's Creed 2 again. So you have like your settlement. Any game where you get to like put resources into building something up, like Brotherhood had its area of like Italy that you were building up and had the Brotherhood. I think that's really cool in games, and I think something like a Viking game and an Assassin's game where you get to like build up just your your
Basically, like your
organization.
camp. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're gonna see it grow. I think that stuff's cool in those type of games.
I think a big thing in Valhalla was they touched on was you kind of recruiting people to go on like these big siege missions. At least from the gameplay that I saw, we joked about stealth, but there is kind of still a stealth tactic to it. With for the boss fight that I saw, that maybe stealth will work a little bit differently for bigger enemies, where you can do it full blast, just run in, dual wielding with your axes and shit like that. But also you can kind of make your way stealth to get a big critical hit damage on the boss before you start.
Hold on a second. You're talking about big enemies. What do you mean big enemies? Just
Like
monsters?
no,
Oh.
more like your bigger enemies, like your boss fights, kind
Like
of
your big
the
knights and
stronger
stuff.
guys. Yeah.
Big as in story wise,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so-
I
Or,
thought
like,
they threw in like
lore
some
wise.
like
Monsters
monster shit
were-
like God of War.
Yeah, dude, you gotta fight the dragon on your way in. So do you
Yeah.
think?
Honestly, it might be what they need.
Do you think they're okay? So they, I don't know when the last Viking game was. Maybe it might honestly be going back to the old Blizzard games. I don't even remember the name of those. So do you think they're
For
just
Honor?
kind of? Do you think they're yeah? I mean, For Honor maybe. Do you think they're like capitalizing on just the fact that they know this is a genre people want to see, or an era we'll call it, that people want to see, and then maybe it will be kind of hard to tie it into the old gameplay of Assassin's Creed. I mean, I can't talk to it like Jay could because I haven't played Assassin's Creed, but it is a game that I've played a lot on stream. So, and I've kind of seen it change over the years, and I don't know how they're going to tie this one back, or if they're just kind of going to change it to fit the era.
I don't think a lot of people are really married to the old Assassin's Creed gameplay. I just think people's criticisms are like, okay, it's getting a little crazy that you're calling it Assassin's Creed. Like I'm a Viking. I just pillaged and systematically slaughtered an entire village. Everybody knew I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but,
they're
like, no
ditching
one is
that stuff.
saying to make them like the old Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, we're past that now. Like I think Origins got just. I mean, Origins I guess is supposed to be like obviously the origin, but like Odyssey, like the games have really come away from that now. I don't think anyone that still plays the series is like. I mean, they might be upset about it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, the
Bender.
first game came out in 2007.
I mean, there's been so many. How many games could you still do the same stuff? It's nice that they keep the assassin like ability in there and stuff, but they don't even have like the out of the Animus story is completely different. It's it's all an undertone at this point.
Yeah, so
I
chat.
don't even know what's going on with that. Like,
Yeah, we got some takes in chat.
Yeah, we got chat. We got chat is saying they could kind of do whatever they want with the gameplay, and I mean Bender said they can just do what they want and slap in 5 minutes of the Animus and it's still Assassin's
Which is 5
Creed.
minutes of a waste of everybody's
Yeah,
time.
that no one wants to play.
I actually want to see the payroll of like what that 5 minutes cost Ubisoft, and I'm gonna be like, hey guys, like, could have like did a pizza day.
A pizza day.
Boosted-
What pizza
boosted
were they
morale.
buying? With gold shavings, like fucking gold parmesan.
yeah, I don't know. They could have stepped away from it. They could have ended Assassin's Creed series with like Ezio's story, and then I don't know. They could have built off like another series within that
Vikings
same
Creed?
sort of universe. Like you
Yeah,
still
they
could
really
have
could have called
tied
it
in the Animus.
like Vikings Creed or Samurai's Creed. Like, and nobody
Yeah.
would care, and you would still have the brand power.
And it's still your overarching series. It's just all has to do with like Animus and going back and like playing through these people's lives. But like you didn't have to call it Assassin's Creed anymore. I don't know. They just wanted to stick to it. It's a household name as far as gaming. So whatever.
Yeah.
So I think we can
yeah.
move on if anyone doesn't have any more
Definitely.
takes. So the next game, which I don't think we'll have much to talk about, but is Watch Dogs Legion. So the number 3 of the Watch Dogs series. So the release date for that is October 29th, 2020. So another game this year. Are we excited? How excited are people at large for this? Are people still clamoring for a Watch Dogs game? If I remember correctly, Watch Dogs 2 was a big upgrade from Watch Dogs 1, but I believe the consensus is what people were saying, that Watch Dogs 2 is what Watch Dogs should have been.
Jesse
To the host, Jess.
Thank you for the host. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, I forgot this game was even coming out. To be honest, like I thought this game already did come out. That's the other thing. I forgot about it because I thought it was already out, and it just came out and did its thing. I don't know. I played the first one, got hyped on it. Obviously, it was a letdown. It's the classic Ubisoft first game in the series. Gets shown, looks awesome. People get excited. Then the trailer before release is like, "What is this game I'm looking at?" And looks nothing like it was supposed to.
So
Then get
Jay,
better.
is that the one? Watch Dogs 1 is the one where they just absolutely ruined all form of trust with the player, right? Where they showed us this thing at E3 that looked like it was going to be this incredible, groundbreaking gameplay, and then the game came out and it was like, oh, by the way, everything we showed in that video, it's not in the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was like that one guy like with the half mask, like going around with his cell phone, like putting up the barriers in the road, and
shutting
cars are
street lights,
crashing.
right? And making
Yeah.
like changing street lights so they're all green, everyone's crashing. And they're like,
I-
dude,
I
yeah, you
talked about
can't do that.
Yeah,
I
Chris-
talked about that in
And
the
you
first
could
demo.
do some of it to an extent, but it was like, it was like anything. It's in those little spots that like when you actually need to use it, like I mean, kind of takes away from
It was much more scripted than they had showed. 'cause
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
watching. I even talked about it on the when we did our trial podcast. Like when I saw that shit at E3, and he changed the traffic lights for the car crash so he could get the guy. I fucking lost my shit. And then the game was nothing like that. But one little quickie take I have is I think these Watch Dogs and Division, like this post-apocalyptic shit or like crazy society shit, was a lot more interesting before society actually got really fucking crazy. And like now that we live it, it's not as cool anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
like
actually rather concerning.
Yeah.
Easy Bake says, in this new one, you could legit be anyone basically. Like you could recruit anyone in the city, whether it's just like some guy who works for the security firm, whether it's some hipster person, like I don't know, musician, bank robber. It's like anyone, and then you could just walk
That's
around
why
and
it's
do
called
missions.
Legion.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you don't really have a set character group, and that's kind of weird. I think I don't know how that's gonna play out. I
Yeah,
feel it's
Nick-
gonna
like
feel
they
like an
said, you don't-
open world GTA type of thing again. Like you're just anybody.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
get attached to anybody like that. Like, why you don't care about any of those characters if you could just constantly switch in and out of who you're
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah,
sort of
Nick
thing.
paralleled that statement to The Last of Us Part 2, saying, it's kind of hard to play video games as an escape from a world that's filled with a pandemic right now. Well, at least in America, we're still dealing with it, I think, a lot worse than other countries. And you're escaping into a world where there's a pandemic that ended the world. So it's like,
Yeah, like
it's like, oh shit, it's kind of it's kind of is upsetting now.
I think that's why everyone wanted Ghost, man. Like everyone was selling out. People just want to play something that's like not post-apocalyptic right now. Like get away from that stuff.
Not the
Yeah.
happiest of games though.
Yeah, just families still
know.
dying in front of you.
Everybody's dying. Yeah.
All right, but I feel like we don't have much more to say. So moving on to Far Cry 6. So release date I believe is February 18th, 2021. I believe next year. Obviously big Giancarlo Esposito hype. Looks like it takes place. Well, I think we know it takes place in South America. I don't know if you guys are big proponents of the Far Cry series or what your overall thoughts on the Far Cry series are.
I know it fell off for a little bit.
It did.
When they
least-
did like Woolly Mammoth version. What was that?
Primal.
Far Cry Primal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were like skinning a woolly mammoth or whatever.
I believe that
Um,
was like the spin-off of Far Cry 4. And then Far
I
Cry
remember
5
Jordan.
spin-off
Jordan got
was-
one from for his birthday or Christmas from a girlfriend at the time, and he never even opened it. They ended up breaking up, so like maybe it was just like it
Maybe the
too
game was that
sensitive to
bad.
open it.
That was Far
He
Cry
just
4,
wanted
I
to keep
think.
keep it pristine, and he was just like,
It was his only memory left. He's
yeah,
like,
it was
I
his
gotta
only
keep
memory.
it.
Like he couldn't bear to open it.
He's
So,
gonna.
I don't know.
He's gonna sell it on
He'd have
eBay
to
in 10
comment on
years,
that.
like unopened sentimental value game.
We'll get his thoughts next episode. I'll put that on the docket.
Probably
There's
in
like
chat.
still like a lipstick outline in like the top right corner, like it's completely preserved.
Yeah, he's in here. Jordan was the big Far Cry person like back in the
I think
day.
he's
Like
smoking a dart.
he loved Far Cry 3, and I think he played like the early Far Cries, but then I think he kind of stepped away from the series.
So
There's a lot
I
of
don't think he
them.
loved the games. I think he didn't have anything to fucking do for a little bit. So he was like, dude, let me just go to Outposts and like do the alarms and play Ubisoft games.
I mean, yeah,
That's
it's
really
worth
what you do in every
mentioning.
game.
It's worth
You go to
mentioning
the
that
tower,
we
it's
moved
like, oh, I can see 50 miles. Like 50
we
miles
moved
on the
away
map
from
now.
third person, just run around open world, unlock outposts. Now we're to the Ubisoft first person, run around, unlock outposts.
Wait, when was Far Cry third person?
no, he's
I'm
saying
talking about just the
just
games. Games in general. We've just slowly moved from third person to full-fledged first person of the same exact type of game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about
course.
Ubisoft.
So
Well,
let's talk about the graphics though. I mean, I know that was probably like
Outrageous.
all cutscenes, but I mean, it felt like I was looking at a movie. I mean, I felt like we were watching a filmed video of Giancarlo Esposito. It was absolutely unreal and has me so hyped for what these systems are going to be capable of. But I kind of feel like Far Cry has always been a step above, at least in those reveal trailers and everything like that. They were always looked incredible compared to other games. I remember back when I was a kid being in like Circuit City and like picking up those crazy boxes for the old graphics cards. And I had like a stock, probably $200 Dell at my house. I don't know why I was looking at graphics cards. And I'd be like flipping it over and it would say like, you know, how, like what it could run Far Cry at or like stuff like that. And I always saw it as this like benchmark for performance. And this looks like it's going to be the same way.
Are you sure you're not talking about Crysis?
No, Crysis too, but Far Cry I thought was always brought up too. But I don't know. I'm also talking.
I mean,
15,
really,
20
guys.
years
Like
ago, so.
at the onset of every generation, everybody's just coming over the graphics. So I remember when PS2 dropped, I was like, dude, this is getting too fucking realistic.
PS2.
Well,
Yeah,
Far
dude.
Cry and Crysis are related because they both use the Cry engine, or back when it came out in like 2004 or whatever it was. So that's why if you look at like the beginning Far Cry games, there's a lot of similarities to the Crysis game, a game that at least I couldn't play growing up because I didn't have a strong enough computer to play that game.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
No, but
I mean, bro, this shit was on this. They were on 360 and PS3. I don't know where you guys were.
Late though.
for Crysis, yeah, that was later on. No,
No, yeah,
That
I'm
was at the
talking,
end of
I'm
PS2.
talking way
Crysis.
earlier.
Crysis, I still have never even seen it. It's like
Is
like
it
the
even a
April
game or is
Wonder.
it just a
It's like-
graphic? It's
Play the
just a
first
visual.
one.
it's like once you see it, like you can't ever unsee it. So I didn't want to look into the light and just become deformed.
but yeah, the graphics look amazing. I think the facial capture for Far Cry 6 is outrageous. I don't know if all that work just went into that one trailer, and then when we went in the game, it'll be like
Well, there are
him
no
voicing
stories
over
for
with
that.
Stick figures.
yeah, and his like the speech doesn't match the mouth. And he's like, "Bop, bop, 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 bop." But yeah, I'm excited for it. We haven't seen any gameplay yet, so I can only get so excited.
Yeah, I think we know what it's going to be like for the most part, but hopefully it looks as good as the trailer does. And I think them being back to like a more, I don't know, not being in the US will be better. Like Bender said, Far Cry 5 was hot ass. We both bought that game on the PC. It looked really good, but I don't know. It wasn't as interesting like being in the US doing stuff compared to like being in like a foreign country and like jungles and stuff like that. I think that's more interesting in general.
Far Cry 5 too close to home too.
So
Yeah.
before we move on, I just wanted to ask this quick question because of this Ubisoft discussion. Jay, you played Rainbow Six Siege the other day on stream.
Yeah. What
Happy as the-
Ubisoft's pride and joy.
Happy as I've seen you in years.
Yeah, try to get on the next day though, dude.
No good.
Not happening. My matchmaking was way too high after that night. And my casual matches, I was getting destroyed. But yeah, I threw up like 5 aces that night. Probably, I was in the mix. I was having a blast.
But it was short lived.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play it
He'll
again.
be back. He'll be back.
I got Ghost the next day, so I kind of wanted to play that.
Well,
Well,
Gotta
I
be
mean, you already
feeling
got
it.
your ass kicked on
no,
that.
yeah. Let's take
Yeah,
let's
I
take
mean,
a step
back
back
and forth,
here. Let's take a step back and just Jay, this isn't actually a podcast. It's an intervention today. So in the past week, this is what we've done. We've seen from you. We've seen, you know, a guy who just might not have the grit anymore to survive out in Verdansk.
He doesn't have it.
I saw not one, but 2 rage quits in one day. He raged off of Warzone. He got on the first flight home from Verdansk, and before they even got there, he said, "Turn this plane around." He came back in. He came back, and you know what happened then? He didn't just get on a plane home. He got home and took his passport right through the shredder. He fucking uninstalled Warzone. Now, this isn't like an easy thing to reinstall. We're talking like 120 gigs. So like this is a commitment. This would be the equivalent, Jay, if you got home and Miranda was like, I pawned my engagement ring. Like, I'm not really feeling this. Like, she can't go back from that. Like, you fucking uninstalled Warzone and immediately like you're on the no-fly list in Verdansk. You're not even allowed on the plane at this point. So then I was like, all right, you know what? Let him go back to a single player. He played about another hour of The Last of Us. 15 hours in now, maybe. Disappointing. I thought he was going to be the guy. I thought he was going to go through The Last of Us. I was like stressed. I'm like, I got to stay up. I got to beat this so I can keep up with Jay. We could talk about it on the podcast. Dude, I don't even know. This kid hasn't even seen the new game mechanics yet. He's still stuck in the intro. And then we get Siege. We get a night, and I said, he's back, boys. Jimmy's back!
Elastic gameplay.
And what happened, dude? You got Ghost of Tsushima the next night. You're raging off single players again. Dude, what's going on at home?
Dude, it's been a rough month, man.
Talk to us, man.
Verdansk, in regards to Verdansk, dude, I got permanently grounded on the airstrip. I'm on the no-fly list. They sent me home. I said, why is nobody else on the plane? They just gave each other a thumbs up and took me out of there.
Jay had the backpack on. He said, where we dropping, boys? Empty plane. They said, sir, we are going right back to the States.
They won't give me a parachute anymore, man.
I think you just need to go back to your roots. You need to go back to the indie horror, 12 p.m., midnight streams.
Bloodshot Eyes.
Yeah,
12
that's
a.m.
really the best.
All right, so you're on the no-fly list for Verdansk, but there's actually another VR that you might have to rage off of in the next coming month.
He probably already has Hyperscape.
I want
It's
to say
called
yeah.
Hyperscape.
So
Hey,
yeah,
what's your rage level on that game?
I'm not there. Nope. Hyperscape, you can miss me with that.
Yeah, so
No,
Jay had the
damn.
hyper escape. Hyper escape.
Well,
and he got right the
everybody
fuck
knows,
out.
Everybody knows my biggest comment about Jay is that he can only play games. Well, before Verdansk, that whole crisis, he can only play games with real guns, and he was an
Sure.
absolute embarrassment on anything that had fictional guns. Halo, trash. Overwatch, embarrassing. Hyperscape, just a disgusting display of skill. It's just it does, like, the list never stops.
So about Gears of War.
Valorant, I
they kinda
had to
go
look
down.
away. Gears of War, absolutely terrible. Xbox is on eBay that night. So yeah, nobody had any hope for you.
I'm a
So we're not
Siege and
too
COD
surprised.
player, not Verdansk.
So Dan,
Siege and COD. That's what you are.
Dan, let's have a little conversation about Hyperscape. So the open beta went live on the 12th, about a week ago now. So I want to get your opinion first, and then I'll talk about what I personally feel about it. So what are your impressions? We always play these new games and we love it. We're in a squad, we're killing everybody, and then people like learn the game a little bit more and we just don't adapt, or something happens, or we kind of just realize that it's not as fun as we thought it was.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on Hyperscape, just generally?
So we played. So Mark and I played the alpha mostly with Flippers, who's in chat, Nick, and a little bit with Jay. And like Mark said, we're very good at we pick up any BR game that comes out, and we do pretty well right off the bat. I mean, I don't know if it's that we're just quick learners or if it's just down to basic mechanics. And you're getting matched up with people who are new on the game as well, and we just adapt a little quicker. But then we think we love it, and we had a blast in the alpha. And I'll say, like, I got on first game, I was like, I don't know how I feel. And then we started dropping kids, and we're like, dude, this game might be the game. And then you start to see how the guns are not balanced at all. Everyone had to have the same gun, otherwise you had no shot. And then we don't get any better. We didn't get better.
Well, I think, just to interject quick, I think talking about gun balance in the alpha, that's a little premature.
No.
I mean,
I understand
that's
that.
literally like you pull up the sheet and you just change like two numbers.
Yeah. So they
Which
actually
they have,
made
by
some
the way.
changes. And then the beta came out. They added a skill. They added a gun. And I got back on, and there wasn't anything inherently wrong with the game. Like, I mean, Bender. So Easy Bake said to me the first day that we saw Hyperscape, he watched like 10 minutes of Lupo stream it, and he said, DOA, this game's dead on arrival. It's never going to succeed. And I was like, dude, I'm having fun. And then I got on the beta, and I wasn't even getting, like, I wasn't doing poorly. I just thought to myself, like, I'd rather be playing Warzone. And that's kind of where we're at right now, where you see it with streamers, you see it with everyone in our friend group. I mean, Warzone's kind of the top dog right now. It was like Fortnite, 2 years ago. Like, you just kept kind of going back to Fortnite. You had You had, what was that game that we played for a little bit, Mark, with the
Realm Royale.
Realm Royale came out. I said this game's really
Oh, the
fun.
medieval one, yeah.
I said this is really fun. It's just got to catch
Love
on
that
with
game.
players, and it just never did because people just went right back to Fortnite, and then Warzone kind of came out, and now we're playing Warzone. And that's the thing, that Hyperscape really has to nail the streamer aspect of it to really grow a player base. And I guess that's my take on it, Mark. That I don't, there's nothing there that's pulling me in to make me not want to play Warzone instead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come in between your two takes.
Okay. Go ahead.
What are some things that are different from, because there was a lot of different shit. I was a little taken back in the 0.11 seconds that I watched of the stream that you guys did. There was a lot of new shit or a lot of different ideas to the BR. So I think one thing we could say is like, so nobody wants, people enjoy the extra respawns. I think that was a big hit in Warzone, Gulag, you know, getting people rezzed again. So this seems like it had a lot of res because you were just able to like go into people's bodies and shit like that.
Yeah, so kind of the way it works for people that don't know is when you die in Hyperscape, wherever someone dies on the map, if you are already dead, you can go to that spot and someone can revive you from there. So the respawn points in the game are kind of just where people have died throughout the map.
So on average, how many reses do you think a player could get realistically on average in a match if you were a good player?
Honestly,
well, if you were a good player, you wouldn't die a lot, but
just from watching like someone like Myth play the game, they've had fights where, I mean, this game you're constantly in fights, but they have fights where he's got res 3 times just in one like fight with another team.
Yeah.
So that's how quickly it is. So in theory, you can get rezzed up to like probably like 6 times in the game, with that, which is kind of crazy.
So one player in the squad 6 times in one match.
Could be, yeah. Could be, yeah.
So I mean, how do you guys feel about BRs moving that way with this heavy respawn? Just keep coming back, like see if just see who's the last man standing. But now it's like with hyper respawn.
So my personal opinion on this is there's games where it's good and there's games where it's bad. Games that have excessive respawns like Warzone and like Hyperscape, I don't think it's that. I think it's actually a good thing for those games, especially in like something like Warzone, where you can die to someone just camping in a bush and there's literally nothing you can do. When you compare that to something like Fortnite, where you actually have the skills to like block the attack or like actually save yourself from dying, there's something you can do. Games like Warzone, you have the Gulag for those kind of instances. Hyperscape, this kind of like, it's like Quake. I don't know if you guys have played Quake or like Quake style gameplay. It's very fast, a lot of movement. At least personally, I was getting frustrated with this because with Hyperscape is because you get somebody down to like 1 damage, and then there's different hacks or abilities in the game where you have invisibility or you have armor or you have healing. First of all, invisibility and armor, they're like so hard to balance in these types of games. So when you have those types of abilities
trust
in
me,
games,
because I may have written about it in my article.
yeah, like, and we'll get into that article, but those type of hacks, they're just so hard to balance, and so many times you get somebody, 1 sliver of health left, they're moving 1,000 miles an hour on the stream, they pop their armor, they go invis, and then that's it. And by the time you see them again, they're back to full health.
Yeah.
So if you don't have like a strict, coordinated, methodical team that's going to go target to target and really kind of play together, it's really frustrating in that aspect. It's a good. I'm torn on it because I do like the movement. There's a lot of things that I do like about it. I actually really do like the respawn system in it. I think that's a good way of keeping people engaged even after they're dead. A different way of making call outs, keeping you, rather than you dying and getting up and getting a drink, going to the bathroom, you can actually stay in the fight. You're looking for a respawn. You're calling out, Dan, he's to your left. He's to your left. Things like that keep you involved in the game.
Yeah, because when you're dead, you're running around as a ghost, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're still seeing everything.
You can tag. You can tag players. So, but here's the thing with this, and Bender made a point about why what he likes, and he said the only thing he likes about Hyperscape is that players don't get downed. If you kill someone, you kill them. You're not chasing downs and then getting yourself out of position. People aren't getting picked back up. They're dead until they're revived. My problem, and I think what Mark was trying to really articulate here, is that it works in Warzone. The constant buybacks are technically unlimited buybacks because the time to kill is low. Hyperscape, the time to kill is too high for you to then just have the player get rezzed because there was someone who died in the previous fight, right around a corner. And now it's like, we killed this kid and it took us so much time to focus this kid down. And then he's back up and he's got full health again. And now he picked his guns back up because they're right on top of him. I think if the time to kill was a little lower, I would like how easy it is to respawn in that game. But I do think, like Mark said, it keeps you engaged and you're still having fun when you're dead. You're literally running through. You have to navigate the zones. You can't break windows and doors, so it's actually kind of like more of a maze for you to keep up with your player who's alive. The only thing is, the caveat is that I would say that it's probably, and it'll probably get tiresome for the person who's alive to try to be focusing on the fight, and you have your 2 dead teammates or even one just like constantly like, yo, come this way, come this way, come this way, res me over here. And like you notice yourself doing it the second you die. It's like, oh, I should probably just let him focus on the fight. But you can be tagging teammates, but instead you're begging for a res, and you cannot kill the ghost.
So I'm hearing a lot of this is cool, but this would be cool, but, or this isn't that bad, but. So I don't think the game is. I mean, obviously I'm not gonna play it. I've never played it. I don't play any VRs, but like, I don't think the game's DOA. Well,
no, I don't
either. Competitive. I mean, it's a competitive area right now, so it could very well be DOA. But like, I don't think all hope is lost for this game.
Right.
I know another different mechanic was the way like the city just kind of crumbles in random spots rather than a closing circle. What was your guys' consensus on that?
I like it. It's a different take. I think like just games like this coming out is just better for all the gamers, right? There's stuff that Hyperscape does really well that I'm sure other developers will copy in the future. We saw this with buybacks in Call of Duty, and then Fortnite had a respawn. You can get their card and revive them, sort of thing. There's things that we'll take away from Hyperscape that'll be implemented into the next BR or into future BRs. That's all the better for us.
And let's talk about the biggest thing that I think is gonna be taken away from Hyperscape. The integration with Twitch is fucking awesome, right? I'm not saying that the way they're using it in Hyperscape is fucking awesome, but the way that we're gonna see this in the next year or two, we're gonna see it blow up. You're gonna see the next Call of Duty, I bet, with something where you link your account and you're watching Nick Merckx play Call of Duty, and you're able to vote on something that happens, or there'll be some sort of integration that comes out of this that's gonna stick. There's just no way. This is just too. It's too interactive for viewers to just let it go away if Hyperscape dies. There's no way. It's gonna be in every game that comes out where they're targeting that streaming audience, where they want these big streamers to have an incentive to stream it. It's I was watching Myth play when I was first trying to get drops and everything, and I was just like, this is awesome. I mean, you're voting on like one event in the game, but the fact that you can just click and check his stats mid-game at any point is amazing. Think of if you're watching like Tim the Tatman play Warzone, or you're watching Nick Merckx play Warzone, and you have to wait until he opens his menu to know how everyone's doing in the game. You're watching Hyperscape, you just click the button, and I can see, okay, these are the top players in this room right now. It's not even the person you're watching. It'll just show you the stats, and then it'll show you the person you're watching stats at that current moment. I think that's going to stick, and I think it's a really great, innovative thing that they did with the Hyperscape.
So, like Mark said, it's kind of like a win-win, because either Hyperscape gets good or the good stuff gets stolen by the games that you guys enjoy more. But I just want really quickly, unless Mark, you have anything more to add?
I just want
on your take.
One thing to piggyback is do we feel like the survival of these games are solely based on streamers? Like
absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Is that where we are now in gaming? Is if none of the big streamers
I think in
play
the VR
the game?
market, yes.
it's not going to be good.
Yeah, these are
Well,
spectator games, 100%. Like
well,
like the
I don't
biggest
want to say
streamers
that.
right now
Yeah,
are all playing BRs. They're all playing BRs.
because one thing I feel like the watchability of MOBAs killed RTS. I think people
Mhm.
liked watching that much better. That led to bigger tournaments. That led to better tournament scene, and that was why things like StarCraft 2 just couldn't really really
Compete.
push the envelope any further. Um, I think for competitive games, yeah, but like that's not an insane thought to say that your competitive game needs to be fun to watch. Uh,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and
that's not outlandish to think.
think about us. I mean, just in this group of 4 people, 3 of us. Yeah, I mean, three of us really got back into Warzone. Like, I mean, I played Warzone when it first came out, and I was like, I don't know, and now I hit that part of me that wants to learn and get good at the game, and that's a big thing with me. I usually suck at these games, well, I'll do okay when it first comes out, first day or two, and then I just kind of, if I don't love the game, I don't try to get better. I'm really there for the social aspect. I'm playing whatever my friends are playing. But when I latch onto a game and want to get better and actually see myself improve, it's when I actually like, okay, I'm gonna invest time. I'm gonna focus on this game. And the reason why I decided to start playing Warzone again is because have been watching more streams. And it's like, oh, this is what they're playing, and now I know the game better. Now I'm more interested in the game. I want to play it. I want to play it because they're playing it, and that's what I watch during the day. If I'm watching someone play Warzone for 3 hours, I'm gonna want to play that game. I'm not gonna be like, all right, well, now it's time for me to go game. Let me load up Hyperscape after watching Warzone all day. Like, it's just that's the state we're in. Whether we think that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's where we're at.
Yeah, don't forget too, these are all free games. So if your game's not getting streamed by these big streamers, like Dan just said, like we're watching them play and it's making us want to play it. We see them like getting all these crazy kills or like playing it a certain way, and it's like, oh, I could build that gun, or I'll be better if I have this gun, unlock the attachments, and then you go and play the game. But if nobody's streaming Hyperscape, like you're losing that audience and you're not making money on your game because people aren't getting drawn to your game to buy cosmetics, to buy all these things that are going to make you your money on the game. So I mean, look at Nick Merckx I mean, we keep bringing up Nick Merckx, but like he has the MFAM Gauntlet now. He's partnered with Activision. Like he's bringing in all these people. Now all these people want to participate in his tournaments. You have a chance to like get shown on his stream, like to get yourself big. If you don't have the big streamers streaming these BRs, like it's just not there. Like the viewership isn't there, the will to play it, all that stuff. You lose out. And I think if they don't catch on quickly, that they're just going to kind of get caught in the dust behind all these other big games.
Yeah, my final thought before we move on is that while the Twitch integration with Hyperscape is good, and Dan talked about like seeing myth stats, right? And you see everyone in the game stats. I do feel that if viewers are changing the gameplay where it's negatively hurting the streamers too much, they just won't turn that shit on. Like if it's something that's super annoying and they're picking like low gravity event every time for Hyperscape, which is like the worst one, they're probably just not going to turn that on. There's other
Right.
things now with Twitch with all these drops and just watching it, you could level up your battle pass. Like all those things are good, but I'm excited to see what they do in the future. Speaking of the future, we do have PS5 getting released. There was a new case that was shown on the PlayStation blog that they posted. Basically, it looks like the PS4 case with a white PS5 logo on the top, well, black PS5 logo and a little white bar. You guys have any thoughts on that? And also the $70 price tag is what we're hearing for next gen games. Any thoughts on that?
I don't like the white. I just don't like the white. Xbox and Nintendo have kind of already been doing the white. I don't know. Sony's really just trying to shake it all up with this new console, but I don't think they needed to.
Yeah, I don't like it
As
either.
far as 70 goes, dude, I'll pay whatever for a good game. I really don't care. Just make a fucking good game, right? Like, I mean, if I'm gonna get 100 hours, I mean, I don't know. I think well, I've been saying this for a while. Um, the whole entire like gaming industry and players need to re-look um about how we pay for games and things like that. I was I was in a Reddit thread. People were talking about Destiny 2. Destiny 2's been out for 3 years, I think. 2.5, 3 years. It's always had content, and they're complaining about microtransactions. And eventually said, "Yo, what the fuck do you want to pay? You've been playing a game that's been getting updates for 3 years, and you don't pay a subscription for it. Like, what do you want to fucking pay for games? It's not cheap to make games." I said, "Dude, I've had my subscription on FF14 running $13, $14 a month for 7 years, and I never frowned one time. I'll give them whatever the fuck they want, and then I go ahead and buy the collector's edition. If you're getting a good game, shut the fuck up and play the game."
Yeah, so I
Because
kind of I agree with Jubes there, and about the case, like I don't give a fuck. I really don't care what the case looks like unless it's like I'm looking at what the individual game chooses. If I want a really nice case, like if that's what I want to put on my shelf, you know, I'm looking like the Ghost of Tsushima had that steel case that was fucking gorgeous, right? If I really like a game that much and I want to buy that, or I think I'm gonna like it that much, like then I'll splurge, you know, and buy the one that comes with the better case, the collector's edition. Like there's options, so I don't really care what the main case is gonna look like, what they want to do with their branding. It's not gonna make me not buy the game. And then to talk about pricing, like Jubes just said, I mean, you gotta like really step back and look at these games now. You know, you used to buy, you know, when we were growing up, you're buying a game and that's it. It's just a shipped good. That's it. It's never changing. You know, if you wanna buy fucking Donkey Kong 64 when it comes out, you needed that extra thing for your N64 for the graphics. That's it. Nothing's changing from that point on. So now you're getting these games where it's not we made this and shipped it out. It's we made this, we shipped it, and now we have to constantly monitor what the player base wants, what they're doing. We need updates, we need content to keep them there. And yeah, you're talking about these free games. I haven't put $1 into Warzone. I've played it more hours than I play most single player games. I mean, so you got to balance it out. Like you're getting all these free games, so you know when a game comes out for $70, is it really going to affect you? Like $10 over the lifespan of that game? No, it's not going to affect you. And honestly, they're putting in way more work through the life of the game now than they were 10, 15 years ago.
yeah,
Okay,
I think with all the free games mixed
Donkey
in-
Kong 64 with that yellow cartridge, fire. Just wanna get that.
Mhm.
Love that game.
I hated Donkey Kong 64.
Oh,
You know me.
Dude,
and
the
my
opening
brother are
theme song?
Very big Donkey Kong fans. Very big.
DK.
Donkey Kong
Walnuts,
64 is
peanuts,
complete
pineapple
fucking
shells.
ass. Complete
So
ass.
good, dude.
But I think with sprinkling in how much fun we get out of like these free to play games throughout the year, how many $60? I mean, we're buying more games on release than we usually do because we are trying to run a multimedia, podcast and website. So that does factor in. But I mean, dude, I would only maybe buy like one brand new game a year in recent years. So I mean, we're not really spending that much yearly on games.
Yeah,
At
and you
least
still
I'm
got your
not.
sales. Still got your
Yeah,
free
I
games.
mean, you got the Steam sale, you just go crazy. And also don't forget that Super Nintendo games back then, for the good games were getting up to like $90 in the 90s. So games are still not as
90?
expensive.
I thought they were
Yeah,
like
they were-
$50 when I went to Toys R Us. Some
No,
of them would be
no,
30.
no. It was it wasn't like a standardized price. Like you could look up old Toys R Us catalogs. Maybe not 90, but 70, $80 back then.
I
for,
also
like AAA games.
so let's so
AAA.
Jordan's popping off. Jordan's popping off in chat. So OGT Jordan is bringing up some good points to fight
I
against
thought he was on vacation.
the price range. Yeah, he said he took a vacation, but he's still here working. He said, you know,
Is he getting paid?
they've added DLC where you could get more money and the yearly online subscriptions, but I'm going to say, you know, that's mostly just with, you know, Sony, so like, you know, third party isn't really getting a piece of that, I doubt. And then with digital copies, there's no printing of case, disc, booklet, no transportation, no middleman retailer, and no used market. Freight is still expensive, and the middleman's definitely getting a cut, but I'm gonna say, yeah, there should be a discount if you're buying digital. I don't know how that's not a fucking thing, but I guess it would. There's got to be a contract, I guess, with these retailers because
Yeah.
otherwise we'd all be buying digital. The only people you'd only buy physicals of games you want to keep, put on your shelf or in your bookcase, or that you think you're gonna play and then sell. But then the market for used games would probably drop. There's got to be a contract in place with retailers that's stopping them from making digital games cheaper. Otherwise, the retailers wouldn't give them the shelf space in the store.
So Dan, let me just jump in really quick with these numbers to see if it changes your opinion or not. So this is just up to 2018. So 2019, the breakdown digital versus physical copies, 20% digital in 2009, 80% physical. Flash forward over to 2018, and it's probably even higher now. But 2018, it was 83% digital, 17% physical. So
Yeah.
with
So
that change, is that still $70 price tag worthwhile?
right,
that-
and then so then you get into the territory of yeah. My argument for 70 being okay, I think, is for online games that have a constant patches and stuff like that. When you're looking at single player games, I think Jordan brings up a good point. Like if they're gonna put work into the game and release DLC, you're usually paying for it anyway. So if 83% of people are already buying digital, then I don't know why they don't just completely cut the middleman out. How, like what if they did all their things as if you're buying physical, you order from either the third party game maker or something, or from PlayStation, from Sony, or from Microsoft, whatever, and they ship it to you, and then the people that want to buy digital, I mean, yeah, like it costs virtually nothing for them to give you the digital version. Like they make it, and then it's the software is created, and whatever that cost is, it's kind of already done. There's probably minimal input for if an extra 100,000 people download the game. The only thing you're looking at is servers for online version. So yeah,
but,
that's high. It's
like,
higher than I thought. 83%.
We don't in the world of economics, we don't buy things based on, or we don't pay for things based on how much they're gonna make off it. Like if you value it at $1,000, it doesn't matter if it costs them 2 cents to make.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you just need to make a good fucking game. Because I remember playing Final Fantasy 15, and I bought the season pass, and it was like, oh fuck this, because the game ends up not being too great towards the end. And it's like, fuck this, fuck a season pass, can't believe I got beat, all this other shit. When I was at the end of FF7 remake, I was like, dude, where's the fucking season pass? I'm like trying to where I need more of this. Like, so really, if you just made a good fucking game, then no one cares how much they paid for it. Just don't make a shit fucking game, and then try to nickel and dime people.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I'm telling you, it was just a completely different mindset. But at the end of the day, I still don't think 70 is that bad, even for a 10-hour game. I mean, I went on a date last night and I spent like $70 at the restaurant.
It's like Flipper said, it's how you like look at the money. Like you can go to the movies.
Yeah.
You're taking your family to the movies, it's $70 right there.
Yeah.
For
I
2
mean,
hours.
thank God I had wicked sex in the back of my, car after it, which made it all like that's why my hair's messed up, which made it all worthwhile. But without that, I mean, shit, I was better off buying fucking game for $70.
So what was better, date or the game? Chat wants to know. $70 game or the date?
I haven't bought any games for 70.
No,
Well,
but a
if we're going
$60
by-
game.
What about 60?
The last game that I bought for $60 was Pillars of Eternity 2. It didn't work. I got personal on the Reddit, called out specific people, told them that the game was an embarrassment and a disgrace, and it didn't work on console. So the date was definitely better. Like I said, I had just wicked sex in the backseat of my car. It probably smells terrible.
All right, so let's move on to some games that we've actually played. Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. Let's talk about Last of Us Part 2 first, and then we'll get into Ghost because that's the newer one. So as we know, Jay hasn't even come close to beating this. So we're mainly just talking to Dan, who has completed the game. We won't get into huge spoilers or anything for people that haven't beaten the game. Let's talk. I mean, Jordan wants to take one great break.
No,
but
I'm gonna just jump in and say, Jordan, you're on vacation. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no breaks.
We're running this shit. This is an OGT Mark Run podcast today. We don't need no breaks, okay? If someone's got to get up and take a piss, they can go. It's okay. We're gonna be here the whole time though. Yeah.
So for people that haven't gone to onegreattake.com and read your review, Dan, kind of give us your thoughts on the game. Why was it so hard to review? Why did you feel compelled to do a spoiler free? Jay, you can hop into with your thoughts about the combat and the gameplay in general. But yeah, your thoughts.
Okay, so if anyone in chat read my review, people that beat the game, or people that just didn't yet and scrolled down just to see my score, I'll preface with saying Last of Us Part 1 is one of my favorite games, and it's very close to a perfect score for me. I didn't think the gameplay of the first game was perfect, but the story and the emotions it gets out of you really kind of bring it to that, close to a 10 out of 10 for me. So I went into The Last of Us Part 2 with really high expectations, and with 7 years passing, I expected a lot of improvements gameplay wise, and I expected not a similar story, but a similarly well crafted story. And I gave the game my take on it is I gave it a 7.8 out of 10. This was the hardest review I've ever had to write, because there are moments and there are very large portions of the game where I'm like, this is easy a 9.5. And then there are just decisions in the story and gameplay that, I'm sitting there literally shaking my head. Or there were times where I'm on Discord, very large portions of the game where I'm like, this is easy a 9.5. And then there are just decisions in the story and gameplay that, I'm sitting there literally shaking my head. Or there were times where I'm on Discord with Nick, who already beat the game, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't know why they're doing this. Penny cam. Everyone check OGTJ's screen right now.
Dude, she was doing some weird stuff,
nice
and then
little
she stopped.
penny
She
check.
heard me.
You should put her on fucking blast.
Yeah, you called her out in front of everyone. All 11 people. So
pants on.
I'm just gonna say, if you haven't, I'm sure you've heard by now, you play as two different people in the game, and Ellie, who's a big part of the first game, is who you come into this game being emotionally attached to. And my semi-hot take, if you want to call it that, is that Ellie's portion of the game, which is where Jay is currently at, it's not good. I mean, it's just not. I mean, it's okay. I mean, the gameplay has better stealth mechanics and it's definitely a step above the gameplay of The Last of Us Part 1, but it doesn't do enough, and there's nothing unique. There's story moments, cutscenes that are, brutally unique and like really in your face as a player. And then you get to the second half of the game, and it's the part that everyone's like mad about. It's a better game. I mean, I'm sitting here, and one of my buddies from work is a huge Last of Us fan, and he shared very similar thoughts as me. Is every moment that I'm looking back to that's like, what were the best parts of this game gameplay wise? Unique parts of this game are anyone who played 10 minutes into the game knows that Abby is the other person you play as. They're in Abby's portion of the game, and I loved it. I mean, I think what they did is they had a storyboard, and it worked, and the story would have been amazing. And then somebody came in and just fucking sneezed, and the pieces went everywhere. And they're like, shit, like, where did those pieces go? And they fucked it up. because I think if you played Abby's portion of the game first, or if they intertwine them more the way they did in the intro, the game is a 9. But they didn't do that. So by the time you get to Abby's story, you don't give a shit. You're actively trying to not care about anyone they're giving you. And Naughty Dog spends the next 15 hours, 12 to 15 hours, shoving it in your face like these people are human. They're human. You should feel bad. You should feel bad about what you did back there, you know? Human. They're just normal people. And I think the overall message of the game is great. But it's like you did a disservice by making me come into this not wanting to see what these people were like. And with just trying to give the least amount of spoilers, it just, you know, I felt like it could have been really great. And then honestly, the ending just dragged out. I mean, there were about 5 endings to that game where they could have ended it, and I would have been like, that was a complete game. And it just kept going and going and going. And I just didn't think there was enough character growth in, especially Ellie. There's virtually none until, you know, there's none. I mean, I would even argue, if we were getting into spoilers, that the one thing that people claim is her growth as character, it's not, and I put that in my article. But I think the gameplay of Abby's portion of the game was amazing, and I would encourage Jay to get there, because he's missing out. I got to the point where he stopped playing and kind of got bored, and I was bored because it was the same rinse repeat that the first game was for a little bit. At the same about the same length into the first game, I got bored, and then it picks back up. And that happened with Ellie and Abby's portion. Just every really cool part about the game that's not a flashback is in Abby's story, and that's why I gave it the 7.8.
Can you give like a couple bullet points on like what's different between the two sections?
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing is Ellie. So Ellie has a switchblade, if we're going to get into game mechanics. And I actually said on our other podcast when we first started playing the game that I loved that, because you didn't have to make fucking shivs anymore. No, I was wrong. I was a fucking dumb person, and I was looking for an easy game. No, it makes you stick to stealth the entire time. So I'm getting these cool new weapons, and I'm not even using them. I constantly...
Wait, you can't. She doesn't use guns?
No, she does. I was just choosing...
Why use the guns? When
I
you
was
could-
choosing
you
not
have
to
a
because
shiv
it makes
at
the
all
game
times.
way easier if you can stealth through everything. But I'm sick of stealth, which is why I said Ghost of Tsushima. I'm going the least stealth that I have to. And then you get to Abby's portion, all right, and Ellie's portion is very much just, okay, you get into an area. It's either, there's a couple parts of hers that are really cool, where there's a mix of infected and humans, and you can do some really cool things to make some cinematic experiences happen while you're playing. But the majority of it is you go into an area, it's either humans or infected, and you're going to stealth through, and you're just going to keep moving on to try to progress the story. Abby...
So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is stealthing infected areas any much different, any more different, any different
It's
than
significantly easier.
stealthing like a human area?
It's easier, and it's
Oh,
much
it's
easier
easier.
than the last game because you have a switchblade. So the other game, you could only kill clickers if you had
Yeah,
a shiv.
with shit. Yeah.
You don't have to
But
make
I'm just
anything.
saying, like in The Last of Us 2, stealthing humans versus stealthing infected.
Stealthing humans is harder. The humans are smarter.
But is
and
it
there's-
different? Okay, so it's a little different.
They have
Dude,
dogs.
I'm on the hardest difficulty, and I can't
Of
pick
course
up
you are.
materials. No,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying, but I'm on the hardest difficulty, and I can't pick up
'Cause you have two-
items
'cause you're
to make
full.
stuff because I'm already filled up on everything. I don't need
that's
to
what
use
happened
them.
to me. I was full the
Okay,
whole game as
alright.
Ellie. Then you
Yeah.
get to Abby's area, and there's similar parts where, you know, it's the typical Last of Us Naughty Dog style play where you're like, okay, there's 10 guys, they're patrolling this area, I got to kill them all and get out. She had so many parts in her story that were just different. There's one part where instead of taking that formula, there's 10 guys, okay, get through with your gadgets. One, she has to craft shivs. Two, she has a totally different arsenal of weapons, and they're much cooler. She has pipe bombs, shit like that are just fun to use. Although Ellie's proximity mines were probably the best item in the game. But to stick to Abby, there's a part, and without revealing anything, where they just said, okay, like the player's been playing for fucking 30 hours. Like, how about instead of like 20 guys, we're going to put one sniper that is somewhere that she can't get at. And now it's like, okay,
the snipers used to shake it up in Uncharted a lot.
exactly. So this is what, but not like an Uncharted sniper. This is almost like a boss, you know, you want to call it a boss battle type thing, where it's like you're going through a whole area where this sniper has you like pretty pinned, and you need to get from point A to B. And while you're going, there's infected. And they add in a lot of mechanics that were just new, fresh. There was a portion where you're fighting in there's like a war going on around you, and you're kind of not, you're trying to do your own thing. And there's these two different factions warring, and you're on an island, and it's fucking awesome. It's probably the best part of the game. The scariest part of the game happens in Abby's story, and then the gameplay part of the game that invokes the most emotion also comes towards the end of the game as Abby, and it's more of a like Abby's facing one of her fears, and the gameplay is, there's a little more platforming than you're used to in The Last of Us, and it was just a really well done portion of the game. And I look back, and the only parts that I even really distinctly remember and enjoyed for Ellie's portion are the flashbacks. I mean, there's a really great flashback to a museum where she's just kind of visiting it, her and Joel back before the events of this game.
Yeah, that's like one of the only parts that I saw.
And it's like that moment, that flashback is what made The Last of Us Part 1 really good. The Last of Us Part 1 had those human moments where Ellie sees the giraffes that got out from the zoo that have been surviving since the outbreak in the first Last of Us, and that moment is such a big revelation to both the player and Joel. Like, dude, this is a young teenage girl. Like, she should not have ever had to been dealing with what she's dealing with, and like she's really fucking human, and seeing giraffes made her be that little kid again. And it really reminds you, like, okay, how fucked up is this world that she's stuck in right now? And those little moments of humanity are not, they're not really in the new game, except Ellie's flashbacks. And there's a couple areas in Abby's story where it's like that break from the actual game, like you're playing fetch with a dog, stuff like that it's like, oh yeah, like these people are human. And I don't know. The story was convoluted and just done. It was like, here's part 1, here's part 2. And I don't think it should have been done that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me shake it up for you now, because your first impressions, we spoke about on the second unofficial podcast. So it was like you were still probably in the Ellie part at the time, and you're like, this game's great. If you hate this game, you're sexist.
No, I didn't say that.
The game's a fucking 9 and things like that. You said that's why a lot of the people were.
No, I said that I think that's why
like
a lot of the reviews were bad.
Yeah.
That people
if you were still in the Ellie portion, or you hadn't really played too much of the Abby portion.
Right.
So at that time, just Ellie alone, you were like, game's great. I don't know what the fuck anybody's talking about. Now you're in Abby's. Hold on. Then you finish the game, and you're like, yeah, 7.8. Ellie's portion was fucking shit. Abby's was awesome.
Gotta remember though.
And obviously it's totally different once you play the complete game.
Yeah.
And now you're taking a step back and looking at it as a whole. But I'm just like, that's just interesting to say, because you were really, I mean, was Ellie's portion that bad, or was Abby's portion that good, where it kind of made you realize?
So
yeah, Ellie's portion really was just part 2, because you did mention, I don't know if you mentioned it in the review, or well, probably not, but you talked to me about it and some other people. When you went back and you looked at how good The Last of Us 1 was, you're like, yeah, really, honestly, thinking about it, this game kind of dropped the ball.
So that's
you did say that. So
yeah, that's more it. That I hadn't played the first Last of Us in a very long time. And I'm not saying, like, when I played, you gotta remember, like, the story, to know how they did the story and the timeline, you need to play the whole game. So at the point where I was just kind of wrapping up, getting to the end of Ellie's portion of the game, you don't hit that point where it just it just says, you know, you get to what you think should be the climactic moment of the game, and they're just like, by the way, you're back to where the event started, and now you're playing as a different person. And it's like, oh, okay, like I don't really want to play, and as these characters, I don't really want to navigate this story. And the gameplay, and I said this, if you look at the last podcast we did, I said that I thought the game had improved on the gameplay, but nothing blew my mind except specific mechanics where I listed where getting shot felt really good. Like you fall, it felt very realistic.
Really good.
Not good, yeah, realistic. And if you remember, John was in chat telling me how wrong I was and how the game kept blowing him away. And I was like, well, I don't think so. But I said, you know, if it keeps at this pace, I would call it an 8 or an 8.5, I think I said. And then I finished the game, and I just think that people would have really loved playing as Abby and seeing, like, you know, the whole thing that the game that Naughty Dog's harping on is that there are no good guys, there are no bad guys. Like Joel is a piece of shit to most people. Joel was not a piece of shit to you because you played as him and understood his motives behind everything. To people who don't see inside his head, he's a piece of shit. Ellie is a piece of shit if you're not seeing why she's doing things. Abby, to us, we didn't know why she was doing things. She's a piece of shit. And then you get to play as her, and it's like, oh yeah, like they're human, and that's what they're throwing at your face. And I just think that if they reworked the order that you play the game, that you would care about both sides, and decisions you're making as Ellie or decisions you're making as Abby would be more realistic to you as a player and hurt more, hit you deeper. And I just think that they messed that up. It's almost like when an anime comes out and it finishes, and then you go online and it's like, yo, like here's the order you should watch these episodes. Here's the filler episodes you should cut out. Like that's how I feel. Like if someone did that for The Last of Us Part 2, it's a better game. Just keeping all the gameplay the same. But yeah, then the big thing for me was I went back and watched the video, top 10 moments in The Last of Us Part 1, and I was like, yeah, I mean, if that's a 9.5 or a 10, I got to drop my score down on Last of Us Part 2, because like you kind of remember how great and emotional the first game was.
Yeah.
So Jay, do you have any thoughts on the game before we move on?
All right, well, Jay's still at the opening. He hasn't even pressed start to, start a new game yet. So.
Jay, you're muted.
No, I'm getting to the point where it is a little like it's slowing down for me. Like just like Dan said, I just have to push through it because it's the same. You go to an area, there's clickers. The next area is humans. You go to an area, clickers. Next area is humans. And it's really just the same rinse and repeat right now. Like just leapfrogging to the next spot, trying to get from point A to point B. So, it sounds like Abby's portion of the game is better. I didn't realize you even played as her as much. It sounds like it's more of an Abby game. Abby and Ellie, like two different stories, which I'm looking forward to now, I guess.
And it's not, I made it sound like a 50-50 split. It's not. It's the game's mostly Ellie, and then
yeah, I mean the game's a long game, so there's probably
like
just a decent chunk.
65-35, I would say.
So splitting off into another game which both Jay and Dan currently own and are starting to play, Ghost of Tsushima. Discuss your early impressions of the game. I know you guys have only played maybe a couple times at this point, but is it what you were expecting? Are we gonna see it on stream from you guys going forward? I know you streamed a little bit, but what are your thoughts? Just your quick impressions of it. It looks awesome. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, the look of the game is great. Yeah. It is beautiful. I think the environments are awesome. The characters leave a little bit to be desired, as far as like seeing games that run on like Decima and like playing Death Stranding, playing Last of Us. I think that the character models in this game are definitely lackluster compared to those games. I think the environments are up to par with the recent releases, though. It's what I expect. I had a little bit of a blowout last night with the game, so the combat I didn't expect to be really on the face buttons. The combat
Well,
is a little
I was memeing about it.
I know, but when you think of sword fighting, you think of like the triggers and I knew it was going to be more arcadey, but not like with square and triangle, and that's a little disappointing. It's kind of hard to, there's attack just like any other melee game. There's attacks that you can't parry or can't block. You have to just focus on dodging. So to be moving a non-fixed camera around and there's people all around you, you're trying to move with the joystick to fix your camera, to see the attacks, to dodge the attacks. It gets a little ridiculous at times. The camera, yeah, like Flippers is saying, the camera is absolutely awful. There's times where the enemy is in the camera to where you can't even see the flash of the non-parry or non-blockable attacks. So you're just left there getting hit when you're surrounded by people, and I think that's punishing in a way that the game works against you, not in like a difficulty way.
I'm just really surprised that for a game that was touting like, first off, it was going to be, like a AAA game. It's right at the end of the console generation. We're going super hardcore, you know, samurai combat. We're putting a great dev on here, and they really just came out with very uninspiring. We've seen this before. I was memeing 2 years ago on Twitter, saying like, "Yo, this looks like what you would expect like when the new Lord of the Rings game came out on PS2, like square for light attack, triangle for heavy attack, little dodge here and there." I mean, they really could have went like more realistic, more authentic, similar to how not exactly like For Honor, but like For Honor pushed melee medieval era combat to something completely different. And that's what I would expect from this. But that normal everyday like Assassin's Creed, just like very parry heavy, like dude, we have seen this shit before. Like I can't believe that. And I
But I
also
believe.
think there was another game called Kingdom Come Deliverance that tried to like change how we did melee combat. I mean, this is that it to me personally, I think it was unacceptable.
So
I think it was because they wanted it to just be accessible by everybody, but I think there should have been they should have tried more to push melee combat. If you're gonna come out and be like, "Yo, this is a fucking samurai ass game," and then like just go play fucking Sekiro.
I think though the consensus has been overall very good for it. I think it's got a great score on Metacritic, user score too.
It's got a 85
I feel like
on
Dan.
Metacritic.
I feel like Dan might have a differing opinion. Dan, what's your opinion on the game so far?
So I'm not as far as Jay is. I played pretty much the intro and then about an hour in the open world. And I think so. I said it on stream when I was first playing it. That the camera feels terrible when you're fighting, and I said that, but I think it's the lack of a lock on system where you can kind of in God of War you kind of lock onto a specific enemy and you can kind of shift it really helps. That helped in God of War, helps you stay focused and be able to see what that enemy's doing. And I think not Sekiro, sorry. I think Ghost of Tsushima struggles with that, right? But my point that I made to Jay last night is that I think he's not playing the game the right way. And by the right way, I mean the way the developers intended. And I could be completely wrong because I'm not far enough in, but one, it's open world. He might be somewhere that he doesn't have the equipment to really play through it and have fun. Like maybe he's meant to have like a grappling hook or a certain type of arrow. I don't know. I don't know what's in the game, but I know that it's very much kind of like a less linear version of like how Zelda is based, where you're, the water temple, you need like this item to make it like really doable. I think it could be part of that. The other thing is we're sitting here saying like, we've seen this type of combat before. I think the reason why the camera lock isn't truly or what wasn't deemed absolutely necessary by the developers is that I watched Jay play, like he's going at this like the Assassin's Creed games. He's kind of slashing, and I was doing the same thing. But I think that the whole thing is that they're expecting you to play like a samurai when you're in an actual fight. There's the stealth stuff, you're straying from the code of honor. The actual fighting, I think it's set up more to be like you're not constantly hitting those face buttons. it's a very patient, you're sitting there, your sword is still sheathed almost, right, before the fight starts, and then you're just timing the parry and one big hit, and that guy's pretty much incapacitated. Then you're kind of free to fight the next guy. And I think that's...
So
Go ahead.
you would think that, right? But then like you're in your stance with people surrounding you, and then the camera is what I'm saying is like the camera is masking the fact that you're about to get two people come at you with the flashing red attacks, which you
Yeah.
can't parry. So you would think, all right, I'm a samurai, I'm gonna walk in there, I'm gonna put my stance up, like we're gonna have a cool fight. But I feel like
Have a cool fight.
it goes back into the Assassin's Creed stuff where you have like multiple people attacking you and pushing you constantly at once. So you don't really have the opportunity to be like, all right, I'm just gonna stand my ground, wait for the attack. Like, my uncle tells me in every fucking flashback, be patient, Jin. Stupid shit.
So-
And you don't have that opportunity. I think the camera keeps changing on you because people are constantly rushing into you and pushing you around. And then you have the archers, which you have to, again, you can't just obviously block an archer with your sword. So you're fighting this guy who's about to throw like a non-blockable attack. You're trying to dodge him, but then an archer's shooting at you, and you got to use the same thing to dash to the side to block them who are off camera. It gets frustrating.
The Rock blocked the archers in Scorpion King.
Yeah.
So to counterpoint that, and I'm not saying I'm not gonna have all these same complaints as I get more into the game. I might, but one, I think the first time you experience archers, they make it very clear that the way the archers work is that Mongol archers let out a sound, like to warn their own people, like, hey, an arrow's incoming. I think you're supposed to use that to know when it's coming. Two, there's two trees for upgrades. There's the deflection and the evasion. What I'm hearing is that the evasion is cool in concept, but useless in game. That, the first thing you get in that tree is a roll, which is very helpful. But other than that, the deflection tree is much better when it comes to practicality. And there's actually a skill that you get to later on in that tree that you could see that you will auto deflect arrows if they're regular arrows. So I just think, and I don't know like where you were on the map, and I don't want to know, but maybe it's meant to be extremely difficult unless you've leveled up your deflection tree to the point where those arrows aren't going to ruin the combat for you. And I think that's just something we have to keep in mind, that the game developers can't make an open world game that's going to fit every single person's play style perfectly. It's not possible, and you kind of have to shift your play a little bit to fit the formula that the devs meant. I still think like there's enough buttons on the fucking controller to put in a camera lock so that, or at least a camera recover, right? Like almost like the equivalent of hitting space in League if you want to find your guy. There should be something, and I agree with that. I think that's a big misstep, but I'm not giving up on the gameplay right away because I had a lot of fun playing it, and I hope to enjoy it enough to play it for the hours it's going to take to clear the map.
No, I do enjoy it though. I think it is fun. I just think they played it really safe. It almost feels like a first Ubisoft game in a new IP. Like I think the first game, they played it really safe. They want to make it accessible to people. Like Nick said, if I did drop down to like normal difficulty, it would probably be a little bit more enjoyable. I don't know.
So how do the difficulties change? So you're playing on hard, Dan's playing on whatever, normal or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Probably how many times they hit you with the special attacks, or probably the amount of damage I could take. Like if I get hit twice, I'm pretty much in the red.
I can only get hit like 3 times, but it looked like Jay was taking a little more damage when I watched. But one thing I forgot to bring up is I got to call Jay out on this. Is he said that the graphics he thought were on par with games that have been coming out, and I think that's ludicrous to say. I think for the voice isn't going to match the mouse because we're both playing on Japanese audio, and the motion cap was done in English, so it was done by the American, with the American market in focus. And then I agree that the characters are not. It's like, okay, the story seems to be basic. But I didn't really.
It
buy
could
the
be
game
base
expecting the
PS4
story.
versus you're playing on PS4.
I'm also on PS4 Pro. That's true.
Yeah.
I said the environments are nice. I just
No, you
don't
said the
really
environments
think
were on par, and I think the environments are unbelievable to the point where, like, I went into the camera mode just to like look at what I could do with the environment. If you can go into the picture mode, you can literally change the time of day, the weather, the amount of like leaves in the air, everything, just to get like that perfect shot. If you want to take like a really nice picture, make it a wallpaper, whatever you want to do with it. And I think that really shows like the how good the graphics are in that game, and the environments are just they're unreal to me. I mean, like that first time you're riding your horse and there's the yellow, the golden forest on your right, like that, it looks real. Like it made me think of kind of like when I was out in Colorado and they have all the yellow, I think they're the aspens, and I was like, holy shit, like that's gorgeous. Like Uncharted graphics were always good when they launched, but like the environments were very copy paste, you know? This, it looks like that every area is going to be a little different, and it looks so real. And I'm really excited to see it. I bought the game. I said, you know, we talked about our most anticipated games of 2020, and I said, for my reasoning why Ghost of Tsushima, one, I love the samurai era of Japan. I love that setting, and two, I was like, I'm buying it for the
opinion.
yeah. I was buying the game.
Yeah, I
for
love
the,
that Matt
for the
Damon movie
visuals.
too.
Yeah. So it's the visual aspect that made me buy the game. I mean, I wanted to see the gorgeous areas that you're gonna play in, rather than me sitting there saying I'm super hyped for the gameplay, which might be a dumb thing for a video game. Like I could go watch a gorgeous movie instead. I don't know, but that's just my thinking behind it.
it could be like Nick said, the like the pro versus the base model. I think the game does look really good from far away with the environments, but I think like once you do get a little bit more up close, like I think they really sold it on like the photo mode. Like you could take a nice like panned out picture and it looks gorgeous. But I think once you get up to stuff, like it's not as nice as it probably looks when the colors are popping
Yeah.
like around you. And like just to kind of just go back to like Last of Us, I think that game on just stock PS4, like the environments look great. Even when I was like laying down and like crawling through the grass and stuff, I thought that game just looked a little better in my opinion. I think the color scheme of this game is unmatched right now. I think that's also one of the reasons I wanted to get it. It's just because of the setting and the color, and I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just a little disappointed with the combat. I guess that's not really what was going to sell this game, but when you sell samurais,
Yeah.
you want to have fun with that combat.
Yeah.
And I find myself actually wanting to do more of the stealth because I'm like, dude, do I really want to be fighting with the fucking camera if I could just stealth out half these guys and then fight? Which going into buying this game, I was like, I want to just run around, hack it up, like play like the samurai. But now I'm kind of going back on that because of the experience so far.
Yeah, and let me just interject on that one thing that you mentioned about the Last of Us does have better graphics when you're up close to like the individual blades of grass and everything. But you got to remember, it's not an open world game.
No, yeah. Exactly.
So it's very different how you load stuff in and everything. And then Nick brought up a great point where I literally thought my capture card was fucking my PS4 because they have a film grain on the entire fucking game in The Last of Us. And it looks like shit. And it made me sit there thinking like my TV, I literally had to load up God of War to make sure that my TV didn't break. I thought my TV had a static to it. And I was like, but I remember playing God of War like 3 days ago and it was totally fine. I had to reload God of War just to see. And it was just that the game, they chose to put a film grain on it and it looks like shit, to be honest. So, I mean,
just like that type of genre, like even like Walking Dead, like the episodes, like you could like they put it on for like that extra gritty kind of like post-apocalyptic look, and Last of Us definitely overuses it. I think that sort of took away from the graphics a little bit because of how hazy it ended up looking and grainy at times. But
So I did a quick just like Google search on different katana cuts, and it brought up this random ass graph that has all these like arrows and stuff like that. Like you have Kiriyage upward cut, Kesagiri, Do is Kote's wrist cut, Do abdomen cut. So like that's where I would have started with the combat, and then probably had it more locked on based, 1-on-1, and then you would be choosing while you're locked on, your controls would change, and these were the kind of cuts that you could do, and the different guards from the other people, would be better at blocking those kind of things.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't know, that's the route that I would have went, instead of like, dude, here's a samurai, let's go, 6-on-1, which I don't even think is very historical in the first place. I don't think many samurais fought like 6-on-1 outnumbered. But like I said, they may have just wanted it to appeal to a broad, audience. But if I had designed the game, that's where I would have started and worked my way through there. But I don't design games. But
speaking of
if
game
I
design,
if I did design games, there are 7 things that I would make sure would not be in the game. And I wrote about this in an article recently, called "The 7 Deadly Sins of Game Design." It was originally 10, but
Yeah, where can you get that, Jubes? Where can you get
you
that?
can get it at www.onlyfans.com/JUBEZ187.
I want to say one
No,
more thing about this before we leave it.
www.onegreattake.com. So
Wait,
I
Jay,
hope,
what?
Just you guys keep talking, but before we leave Ghost of Tsushima, I want to make one more point.
No,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead. Go.
all right,
Well,
Jim.
I think this game, I think they wanted to go for that big samurai feel, but like Jubes was saying, like how it would have been better to do like those more intimate types of like fights and engagements. So the whole time I'm playing through the beginning of this game, like you're seeing the other like clans and like the rival clans, and they keep mentioning it, but this game is all based around this Mongol invasion, which I think maybe hurt them in the long run of like, we want to do this big samurai game, but yet we made it this big open world invasion game. So all your engagements end up going to camps and fighting multiple people. I think this game would have been really cool if it was more based around like you follow a samurai who's part of a specific clan, and you have rival clans who are trying to like encroach on your area of your land, and then you end up going through that type of story. And then it would have been more like samurai v samurai fights, or like these different warring families, which I think would have been better for this type of game that we kind of wanted to play. So what?
Mark is saying that you're giving your one great take. It's my take. You're just agreeing with me. I mean, it's just what I said. You ruined my segue just to be of accordance with me. Like, yeah, I mean, that's,
no, but I'm
like
saying
I said, that's where I would have started, and I would have had more, like you said, 1-on-1 intimate samurai engagements, not, constant dodge rolling 3v1. Dude, fuck this game. I was saying fuck the game 2 years ago, and it's 2020. Fuck this game, dude.
Yeah,
They
it could have been a better samurai.
It's about to be 70.
type of
So
game.
I mean, if you want this to be your last 60, then go let it be your last 60, boys.
So I had talked about before something that you mentioned in your article. I don't think it made the top 7, but I think it was in your.
I mean, we know how this website runs sometimes. I don't really make all the decisions.
No, that's only because you allow it to happen with Jordan.
I was writing war effort. I'm juggling a lot of things right now.
So
But yeah,
focus on your shit.
When we talked about Hyperscape in the beginning, I talked about I didn't like the invulnerability or the invisibility, which was one of your dishonorable mentions, which we talked about. Like we mentioned, those things are super hard to balance. So I kind of want to get your take. Give us a little general overview of what your article is about. Again, people can go to onegreattake.com and check it out. Julian writes a bunch of different video game articles, which are always impressive and interesting to read. Whether you really are a casual gamer or a hardcore gamer, I do think anyone can get enjoyment out of his articles. So, kind of give us your kind of your best topics there for your 7 deadly sins.
Deadly.
One thing
Deadly
I
sins.
definitely I always talk about is the anti-fun and the fun. I think a lot of people just they say anti-fun whenever they're just mad. They don't really understand how it works. So that's definitely one that.
So what do you mean by that? What do you mean anti-fun versus fun? What's kind of general? So what do you mean?
So the anti-fun is the negative feedback from the game when you do something wrong. what did I say? The player dying or losing the race or whatever. And then when you resolve the mechanics correctly, you have fun. You want to make sure that doing the right thing is more fun than doing the wrong thing is punishing or unfun. You know, I talked about okay,
League
so
of Legends, I
repair,
think.
but
And
League of Legends in there, but repairing weapons
mhm.
in games. Just like why? Like what? Like where's the fun? Like why have something that's fun and only punishing, and it's not fun to work around it. Like what is it besides a money sink and a time sink and things like that? It just makes no sense. So if you could make weapon durability fun in a way, then that would be fine. But in that situation, it sucks more to have the weapon break than it is to feel good to have good weapon management or whatever it is. I don't. That's just a bad mechanic. I don't even know how you would ever make that good. And then of course League of Legends, the MOBA point click abilities. I mean, what did you really do? Nothing. You just point clicked. So you didn't really have as much fun as you could have because it's more fun to hit the skill shots. And me, I'm just a fucking sitting duck, so I'm having a miserable time. So you didn't display your skill, and I'm pissed. So it doesn't work as well as the skill shots. Um,
Mhm.
the receiving player doesn't have much to counter it. And what did the other player really do besides bring the cursor over and click a button? So, that those are when people talk about anti-fun, they need to also talk about the fun. There's something they work in tandem with each other. You can't have it's an action and a reaction. So just because something happens and you're pissed, it doesn't necessarily mean it was anti-fun. You need to talk about the whole picture. Um, Burden of Knowledge, like as an RPG player, like, and I'm sure Mark, you may have seen it a few times in FF7 remake, even though they do a pretty good job with it. But like, you want to know everything, like in FF7, we know that Punisher stance increases our damage output by how much? 5%, 10%,
Mhm.
50%. I played that whole game really without ever using the Punisher stance that much, unless it was like kind of needed for the boss fight. It wasn't until after I beat the game that I was watching YouTube videos of like, I beat the final boss in 11 seconds. Here's how. He goes in a Punisher stance and puts out like insane fucking damage. I was like, I could have been doing that much damage as much all the time, but it only tells you that it is just more damage. That's definitely, and then in shooters too, of course. I mean, there's websites that really break down like where the damage fall off is, and it actually is kind of crazy to see that games are still using those vague just bar graphs like range, damage, and things like that. Like, tell me how much fucking damage the gun is gonna do. All right, like I'm a big boy now.
Mhm.
But do you
People are playing these games for money now. Like, tell me how much fucking damage I'm gonna do for fuck's
but
sake.
do you think that's on the developer really to give all that detailed stats and damage, especially in these games where they're a big thing was in Fortnite, people got pissed because they just all of a sudden stopped doing patch notes. So they would change damages to guns and headshot multipliers, and basically you wouldn't know unless
That's
you
fucking
went in
toxic.
and found it to yourself. Yeah, a lot of it is because the community is toxic to begin with. But things like that, I think that's dumb. If you do change, especially with these games now, there's big money in all these games and all these BR games. There's huge money in shooters in general. I don't think it should be on exclusive Ace who makes these YouTube videos to give us the rundown of the time to kill and the damage ranges for all these guns in Warzone. I think that should be more accessible. I just don't know how feasible that is for game developers. Um,
It's like being a batting coach, and it's like, yo, like the guy who's pitching against us tomorrow, like how fast does he usually throw? Oh, yeah, it's kind of fast. Like it, I don't like it. Well, I don't like any of these, but I definitely lack of feedback. I think that was like a good one, and I think that's one that a lot of people don't think about, but it's really helpful. I mean, as someone who played tank in Overwatch, my decision making in a big fight when I see those yellow crosses on my screen, like my mindset is completely different
Yeah.
because I know that I'm being healed. Usually, when you're a tank in Overwatch and you're not being healed, you're trying to back the fuck out as quick as possible. So it's little things like that that really help us uh play our game and make decisions and enjoy the game and things like that. And Jordan argued with me that there wasn't a red X on kills in Siege. Jay, is there a red X on kills
Yes.
at your crosshair? He told me that there wasn't, and he was like, "Old Jordy."
To be honest, I don't know how often it is. That's the only time I know if I trade with somebody though, because I'll be in the gunfight and I'll see that split second red X go on as I get
You know
killed,
what
and I
that?
know I
You know what
traded.
that split second red X is that makes you know that you traded?
It's feedback.
That's fucking feedback.
Feedback, dude.
That's fucking feedback. What the
Yeah.
fuck it is.
Warzone
Forced
does it
gameplay.
well.
Forced gameplay. Fucking Gumi ship. That's all you have to know. Or even like the shivs and things like that. Just like when the game funnels you into a few just things that you have to do. Like you have to do it this way. I remember I think Mark was playing Deus Ex.
Dude, I was
He
just
was
gonna
like-
bring this up.
He was like, "Yeah, I spent the whole game I spent the whole game putting points in stealth." but you
Yeah, so
can't
this is
stealth
what
the
happened.
final boss.
So it wasn't even the final boss. Is like
Ah.
the whole game in general is a stealth game, and then I got to this boss where it's just like a straight up boss fight. And if I got hit by him once, I was dead. And because I had never put any of my like talent point into armor, because I was like, why would I do that if the whole thing is stealth? And then basically you get into this forced battle where you have to basically just fight him one-on-one. And I never beat it, and I never beat the game. So yeah, stuff like that is just.
I missed
It's
the beginning. Are
stupid.
you talking about Deus Ex? Deus Ex?
Yes.
I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
And do we make games to see if it's possible, or do we make games to challenge the player to beat them? It's the second one. That was pretty much my first, point that when the game is trying to beat you, what the fuck? Like that's not how it is. And there's a little picture of the Lion King for Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
Which he's actually Big Simba in that picture. So that means somebody got to Big Simba to take that picture.
Yeah.
Unless that's all pixel art.
So
Have you
that's-
never been that far?
No. I've been Big Simba.
So
Okay.
I think you brought up a really good point there. How it's like people forget like these games started in arcades, and the whole point was to make it near impossible so that you'd have to keep funneling money in to get extra lives. Like the old
Yeah.
X-Men games, the old all those 2D
old pay to play.
brawlers. Yeah, they're pay to play. And then all of a sudden they're coming out on home systems for kids, like fucking Lion King, dude. You buy it for your, I got the Super Nintendo sweatshirt on right now. You buy it for your kid who's like 5, and you're like, here, and they never see the second level because they're just like, I want to be the mighty king, but like I can't swing from this elephant's asshole to land on the giraffe's nose because I'm 5 years old and I don't have quarters to stick into my Super Nintendo to keep giving me lives.
Also, point of no return, which happened to me on stream the other night. When I was playing Wildermyth, and we went to that boss fight and died, and it only brings me back to the beginning of the boss fight. So
Can't change
that
the
runs. That runs chalked. That used to happen. That was the Final Fantasy Tactics special, and that is why to this day I run 2 saves every RPG that I play. I still do it because you never know when you're not going to be able to go back. Nowadays, most people tell you, they'll be like, "Hey, you got a couple some crazy shits going on. You might want to, drop that second save." But back in the day, oh my god, yeah, that was a run burner right there.
Yeah, wait, you're saying the game tells you, like, yeah, you might want to start another file just in case, It's this auto
like
save's gonna fuck you.
Final Fantasy 12 will tell you, like, you're gonna go through an area where you're not gonna be able to go back to shops. Like, it's recommended to save on a different file.
Dude,
They'll
that's
tell you now.
crazy to me.
A thing that I hate that you brought up too was, and I don't think it made your top 7, but it's the fight that you're supposed to lose in RPGs, but you don't know you're supposed to lose the fight, or any game in general. So you're using all your items and abilities, and then it just comes to when you die. Oh, but you were supposed to die the whole time, and I just wasted all that stuff. I feel like we don't see that too much anymore. But
Ghost of Tsushima had a fight you had to lose, and I literally was sitting there on stream, and I
never mind.
said, like, I was like, ah, damn, like, I guess I got to do this. And then I was like, oh, shit, like, this is an intricate way for him to kill me. And I'm like, I got to lose. I literally said, I guess I got to lose fights more often so that I could see, like, how the death plays out. This is awesome. And then it's like, oh, wait, this is the story. So,
yeah, so then once they do it to you once, every time you're in a hard fight, in the back of your head,
Give
it's like,
up.
oh, maybe I gotta lose. Maybe I gotta lose. You're like sweating. You're like, I hope I gotta lose this. Yeah. That was big in like the SNES and PS1 era of RPGs. You know, you'd see like the most craziest fucking swordsman. He'd fucking beat your ass in 2 seconds. But then he joins your party and he's like level 3. It's like, oh, okay, wait, what the fuck? So yeah, I had a lot of fun writing that. I got
Yeah.
some pretty good feedback from it. Besides an old friend who messaged me and said I don't know anything about game design.
But he didn't read the article. He just said it to you. Just threw it out there.
Well, he wasn't wrong.
That was just one great take.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I said
Shout out
that
Chubbies.
the first line in the articles, I've never designed a game in my life. So I was very honest about my expertise here. But Chubbs is chaotic evil, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can check that out at www.onegreattake.com or www.onlyfans.com/JUB27.
Do you actually have an OnlyFans yet, though? Because
I'm not answering that on stream. Shut up.
You've been shouting it out a lot, and I'm about to type it in. And if I see some fucking
Dr. Disrespect.
some lewds,
Dr. Disrespect.
he's hiding it. I
Got it.
fucking know it. He's got it.
Dr. Disrespect. Talk
Alright.
about him.
When I
You're
get that
so
new bed.
obsessed. Yo, can we talk about how obsessed you are with Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this happened to
Your
me.
Twitch is my OnlyFans.
This happened to me because of the whole quarantine work from home shit. Also, part of it is because YouTube TV raised their rates, so I canceled them. Had to cut them from my life. You don't get second chances with this boy. So yeah, I don't know. I got super into watching Twitch. I watch a lot of Tim the Tap Man and I was watching a lot of Doc. Now it's more Tim and Nick Merckx. They're entertaining, and I mean that's their job, right? They're entertainers. But so Doc finally broke his silence, and he did several interviews, some more revealing than others. But the biggest thing is that he posted a video. So I don't know if we want to talk about. I think everyone, all four of us at least, have seen the videos and read the interview. Maybe Jupes didn't read the interview.
I don't give a fuck about Twitch. I'm actually gonna go take a bath.
So that was him singing, right? In the video?
Yeah.
so.
So he has made songs in the past. Most of the time, it's just clipped from him live singing. Like
That
on
needs to be like a
stream.
Rocket League soundtrack song.
Yeah,
That's
so
what it sounded like.
he's got that, he's got that 80s vibe, and it's nailed. Great. So we're gonna that song is phenomenal. Should be top of the charts. If we're gonna get into it, it belongs in Stranger Things. When they're in the arcade, like, it's great. But we're gonna talk about what does this mean for what's going on with Doc, and it means a couple things for me, right? One, we still don't know what the fuck's going on. But two, I don't think it's as bad as everyone thinks.
100%.
He's not going to be putting out those teaser videos and shit if he knows his fucking career or life is over, right? If he's about to get arrested for rape or, tax fraud where he's going to prison for 5 years, he's not releasing these teasers. He's not going to sit in an interview with his publisher next to him and say, we're coming back. We don't know how much of it is going to be streaming and how much is going to be these other endeavors, but we got a lot of fun stuff in store. You're not saying that if, the FBI agent's next to him with the gun to his head, like, yeah, you come with me, Doc. So I think it's a good sign for Doc fans. I think it's a bad sign for us knowing the story. He's talking about considering legal action against Twitch, which doesn't necessarily mean that Twitch isn't already pursuing legal action against him. He didn't come out and say that Twitch is not pursuing legal action against me. But where I think we're at is that you kind of got to shelf the whole sexual allegations stuff. I just don't think that's really on the table anymore. He Yeah, he said specifically his TV show deal is still in place. Um, he's still got his content team making stuff. He said he's got a lot of interactive stuff that he can't wait for the Champions Club to see. So, if this is a man who it's going to come out that he sexually assaulted someone at a TwitchCon, like he's not. Why waste your time? Your career's over.
No, he'd be fucking canceled.
Yeah, so it's not
especially in the
that.
cancel culture. He wouldn't have his TV deal anymore. That would all go away. In
Not a chance, because it's just not the world we live in. And then from a legal standpoint, it makes it sound like, and I've seen some of this while auditing clients, and obviously not in this manner, but it sounds like a breach of contract. And when someone breaches a contract, I don't think legally you have any obligation to pinpoint how they breached it. Could he sue for that information? Yes. Could he sue for wrongful termination of the contract? Yes. He's never going to be on Twitch again, and he made that very clear, which sucks because that means he's never going to be able to play with Tim and Nick and all these Twitch streamers again, because Twitch doesn't allow them to play with banned streamers. But what it sounds like is, Twitch saw something as a breach, whether he was talking to other people, if they found out he really was contemplating starting to stream independently on championsclub.gg, which is something he brought up as something he's considering. Then
if he says that on stream,
but
if he had a deal with Twitch,
right?
And he just is like, oh fuck this, I'm about to just do my own shit.
Right, that could be a breach.
Yeah.
So I think it's something along that line, and then now you're seeing Twitch very strategically said, we're gonna can his ass right now while all these allegations are going. So it's going to fucking ruin his career because he's not going to get us money anymore if he's not going to be on our platform. I think it was a very planned timing. Whether this breach was weeks before that and they just already knew the shitstorm that was going to come from these allegations for all the sexual assault or sexual violence allegations, I think they planned to do that at that moment to kind of, give him a fuck you on his way out, like let the door hit him in the ass on the way out, and thinking it's going to stop a lot of his supporters from supporting him. But again, like I think they had to have pretty good feelers out there that he really was going to leave and break his contract in some manner. Otherwise you wouldn't give up on, it's free money, right? For your platform, 25,000 subs, you're talking. Even if you're getting $2, that's $50,000 a month for free. And you're getting tons more just by the traffic he's bringing. So I think even if he had a $15-20 million contract, it's going to even out or be worth it for you. But I don't know if Mark or Jay has anything that they think from this. I'm excited to see what Doc's doing. I think it sucks that I'm going to have to watch him on a different service, or if it's on his website or whatever. But
well, I didn't know that he wouldn't be able to play with like Tim and them. I didn't know the whole you can't play with banned streamers thing, which is kind of crazy to me. But we can kind of wrap this into kind of our last topic too, since we're wrapping up. We got about 5 minutes left. We've seen Ninja go to YouTube. I know Doc said he's not interested in any exclusivity deals. He may stream on his own site. Where is the streaming service war right now? Yeah, so a big thing for you, Dan. So I know you watch a bunch of streams. I know you watch Tim a lot. So here's an example. If Tim was to leave and go stream on YouTube, do you think you would go to YouTube and watch him regularly? I had a problem with, I still enjoyed watching Ninja when he streamed. But when he moved to Mixer, like Mixer was such ass. Even when he went to YouTube recently, there was a bunch of people that watched him when he streamed. But I feel like Twitch is such a better platform for streaming that I enjoy being on Twitch a lot better than I do those other sites. So like YouTube, you have YouTube videos and you have gaming. There's Facebook and Facebook gaming. All those things kind of get raveled into one, whereas Twitch is just streaming all the time. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. So do you see yourself, if Doc does go stream on his site, do you see yourself watching him at the same level that you did before?
I mean, honestly, with Doc, no. I see myself watching more VODs, like YouTube videos and clip compilations. That's what I would be doing. If it were, I think, because Tim is who I watch every day now. You know, I have it up in the background, like a, you know, almost like white noise while I'm working. And I literally, like, I've literally been waking up earlier now to get my first hour and a half of work done before Tim gets on, because I know, like, my favorite part of his stream is when he first comes in, first does his just chatting and is going through the donos and shit. And that's my favorite part. And then I know I'm gonna focus and not be so productive with my work. So I actually been waking up and getting that done before like 9:30. And then, you know, when he's actually playing Warzone, like, I just have it up on a second screen and I just, you know, I will go back and forth and watch. I'm not gonna be doing that with Doc. And then another great example is, like, I'll watch Tim, and then if Nick Merckx is streaming, I'll have his tab open too, just softer volume, and I'll flip back and forth when they're like, if Nick's in like an end game scenario in Warzone, I want to watch that, and I'll switch which one is louder, and it's just so much easier because it's on Twitch. So a perfect example is, like, okay, if Tim leaves, I'm gonna go watch him wherever he streams, right? Not that I think he will, but someone that I watch a little bit. So I watch NMP in the morning, because Tim, it just started. I didn't even know who he was, but Tim hosts him. So I watch his just chatting portion before he goes to play WoW, in the background sometimes. If he switched, I would never see him again. It just wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't, whatever. Another perfect example is Myth. When I see Myth pop up, and if I'm, like, you know, just talking to friends in Discord, I'm in between games, I'll pop it open, watch him playing like Hyperscape or whatever now. If he switched platforms, I'm never gonna see him again, because I only click him because he pops up on recommended, or if I follow someone and they're online. And I think with Ninja, you saw a lot of people. I mean, he never had the same viewership again when he left Twitch, and whether that you can attribute that to people kind of growing out of it, or the fact that, like Jordan said, like, I just don't want to go watch on a shitty service, you know? So I don't know. I mean, if he goes to like Facebook Gaming, I probably wouldn't watch.
Well, a lot of thing is, like, he doesn't need the exclusivity deals, because these streamers get so big, like Ninja, that they get deals from otherwhere else. Doc's doing TV and movie stuff.
Yeah.
He really doesn't have to stream as much if he doesn't want to. Like,
I don't
that's
think he's
not
going
his
to.
living. That's not his living anymore. Like, yes, he gets income from it, but he can still do his YouTube thing. He can do his TV show, whatever he's doing. He doesn't need to stream every single day anymore once they get this big.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna see. I think
He really doesn't have to stream as much if he doesn't want to. Like,
I don't think
that's
he's
not
going
his
to.
living. That's not his living anymore. Like, yes, he gets income from it, but he can still do his YouTube thing. He can do his TV show, whatever he's doing. He doesn't need to stream every single day anymore once they get this big.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see him go from an everyday or 5 times a week streamer to, when he comes back, I think it's gonna be a 2 to 3 times a week thing, shorter streams. And I think you're going to see a lot of this other content, like little YouTube videos, little songs, things like that. Because that's all, like, you have to look at it from the business side. It's all different streams of revenue. It's diversifying, because, like, there are people that strictly stream, and if that goes away, they're done. Like, what are they going to do? Like, how are they going to make their money? But when you have all these different endorsements and deals, and now you can produce other types of content that people are still interested in, like would you go watch, like, I don't know, like, would you go watch Myth, like, have like a talk show? No, probably not. But would you watch Doc, like, in character, fucking doing like a weekly YouTube video where he's interviewing someone and releasing that video of him just like being Doc? Like, yeah, you're probably gonna watch that. It's just different type of content.
Yeah, Doc's coming to one great take.
Yeah, imagine
But one
that.
thing I will
Secrets
say
out.
is, like, it's not gonna be Twitch forever. I remember, like, when Netflix was first starting to go big, and then there was like this Hulu thing. I was like, everyone's trying to, like, copy this. And, like, now Hulu is legit. Disney Plus, like, so it's not like, don't think it's gonna be Twitch forever. People like Google, YouTube, they have enough money to pump into something to get it to as good as, you know, Twitch is. Um, that's really
But an
my only
early
take.
misstep, and we see it with Mixer, an early misstep in this industry, you're done. Microsoft.
Oh yeah, but what
Microsoft
I'm saying
could
is
have.
it's not going to be Twitch forever.
Microsoft could have did anything they wanted with the money they have, you know, and the capital that they can raise to make to revamp Mixer and make it amazing. But the point is that the brand sunk and nobody's going there. No matter what improvements they do, you're still gonna have that bad taste in your mouth from knowing how Mixer was in the beginning and how I couldn't even fucking make an account function, so I just fucking went off the website and never made an account.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, any wrap up thoughts you guys have on Twitch?
Chat, anything on Doc? What I think it's gonna be a while before we get more information on the actual happenings between Twitch and Doc, but I think him releasing that video will mean that we get a little more, at least teasers in the coming weeks. So I'm excited to see that.
Well, I think everybody's relieved that it's not going to be a big, like,
Criminal.
sexual allegation, like he's canceled forever kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
We'll see.
even me, who doesn't care about Twitch or really has only watched him like just a few times at people's houses, like, you know, I'm happy to see that. I mean, I guess I'm happy whenever somebody doesn't get sexually assaulted.
Yeah,
I don't know why I wouldn't be.
it's just like it's good for the
But, like,
world.
it's good. It's good to see that, like, there's still going to be Doc because we didn't know for a little bit.
Yeah.
He'll be big no matter where he goes. It'd be interesting to see if, when all of this comes to light, if this leaves a bad taste in people's mouth about Twitch. You know, like the way they handled it and like how they kind of let things play out to where all these conspiracy theories and people talking about how it had to do something with the Me Too movement. Like, that's damaging to his person because of his
do you think
past.
Twitch was the people who put those rumors out?
No,
No, but
I think
but
they
the
did
fact,
that.
but if it's something to where they just kind of terminated him and didn't even give him an actual reason, and he does sue and like wins that, and then that all comes to light in articles, like that's kind of a big deal, especially people who are friends with Doc that just like Doc will do good on any service. And if they went and started a service where they make more money doing it, and you know, people who watch types of stream like Doc also probably check out Nick Merckx and Tim the Tap Man and Ninja and Shroud and like that, those types of streamers. Like,
yeah, Jay,
Yeah,
you
I
got to
know.
remember, Jubes walked away during the beginning of what I was saying. So, you know, because he's a little piece of shit, he doesn't even understand that you're referring back to one of my first points.
I had to do
So,
PP.
yeah, okay. It's okay. I'm a piece of shit. It's okay.
So yeah, I think that about wraps it up for the official episode 1 of the Digital Campfire podcast. Thank you for everyone that stuck around and commented and was in chat. Just having it up and ghosting it. We will have this up on YouTube, hopefully by tomorrow. So for anyone that did miss it, they can watch it. Just an update. We will update every podcast at the end. OGG Jordan is still in the lead with 13 games beat this year. That is the number to beat, 13. But yeah.
They're all 5 hours long.
Yeah, let's get this straight. He wants to talk persistence, ability, and dominance. We're not going to talk about any of that because I'm not sure it exists. So
It's like when I was 7 and I read 100 books in one day. They're all like short stories. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Later.
Yeah.
All right.